presentation is about the sharing economy, and it is a presentation that is designed primarily for hoteliers, but I believe everyone in the travel industry will find something of use from it. So sit back and relax. There are a lot of visuals, but not a lot of words. Most of the words, I apologize, are in English, but most of you will get the gist of it and understand it, even if your English is not very strong. So let's start with a definition. What is the sharing economy? And this is the technical term for it, and that is, it describes economic and social activities that are all based on online. So before we start talking about it in hospitality and in travel, let's talk about how technology has changed the rest of the world. Netflix, people have heard of Netflix, you might have it. If you have Netflix, you do not purchase or rent DVDs anymore. All the shops that used to have DVDs have all closed. That's over. Amazon is the giant of the world, and they have Prime. So free delivery, just on your see something you like, you press your mobile phone, it arrives in a few days. Not in Italy at this moment, but I can tell you that Uber has destroyed the taxi industry in almost every city that it's gone to. It is completely changing the approach that people take to how they utilize automobiles. In fact, it's even destroying automobile purchases because there's so many. We can't stop. We can't say in the hotel and travel industry that no, we're not going to do this. This is a fact of life. We're not turning back the clock. So what is going to happen to hotels when more and more people start using Airbnb? And I'm going to use the word Airbnb quite a lot. In many cases, there are other sharing economy hotel systems online, but Airbnb is really the largest, and they are the deal breaker that have changed the world. So this is how people buy. This is how we buy travel. We take out our mobile phone, we make a booking. That's it. That's how simple it is. It's created something called B-leisure, or business leisure combined, and that's 60% of all trips that people are taking for business have a leisure component, and this is the result of the ability to be able to book your hotels and your travel simultaneously online. For the hotel industry, we have to be careful because this could affect jobs. We have to be concerned about that, but also it could undermine the entire value of the hotels, and that is why I think owners of hotels should wake up. But it's not the end. It's not over for us. We have a lot of fighting spirit as hoteliers. Don't give up yet. In this slide, I don't know whether the giant is the hotels and the small guy is Airbnb, or whether it's the opposite. We have to learn to live together. Hotels that create unique points of difference, and we'll talk about that in a little while, are the hotels that are going to survive, and it is going to be a very big fight, and we're just at the start of the war. So let's take a few minutes to understand what the concept is of alternate lodging and what has attracted travelers to it. I've put a few of the benefits here. Basically, it's fun. Okay, what they've done is they've taken the chore of making a booking and turned it into an expedition and an excitement for you to figure out. So it is mentally stimulating to make a booking, and it creates this adventure and bragging rights, which is fantastic for the people who are using it. So I'm going to start with a quiz. Which company has more hotel rooms? The big Marriott or the big Airbnb? Anybody want to guess? Yes. Okay, so Airbnb has 5 million rooms. Marriott has 1.5 million. I think 1.15, they're up to 1.2 now. But if I add up the big three, Hilton, Intercontinental Group, Marriott, it's only half, a little more than half what Airbnb has. So I'm sorry, out of the way. What about website visits? Because it all starts with the web. So here are the top 10 booking sites in the world. Airbnb, I took the top 10 and made just a pie chart. This is for total 2017. As you can see, Airbnb is bigger than Marriott. And when I look at OTA, meta-search sites, these are the others. TripAdvisor, very large, and we could have a long discussion on TripAdvisor, but I'm going to set that aside for now. So this whole start of the sharing economy started by appealing to millennials. And about 10 years ago, it was backpackers, people who didn't care about loyalty. They wanted cheap room. They wanted a couch surf, is another word people use. They're also looking for something a little bit more authentic than a hotel. And really the concept behind sharing is not new. There always used to be groups. If you were a college professor, you could share with another college somewhere. If you were a student, there were student relationships. There were relationships within corporations where you could share rooms. The difference is the internet. And Airbnb really became the universal transfer center for this commerce. So we'll run about a decade forward from when it started. And Airbnb is the place to start planning travel. Everything is there. You need something that's expensive. You need something that is cheap. You need something for a family. You need something just for yourself. It's all there. And the secret to its success is two-way accountability. When you make a booking, you learn about the host, and the host also responds to you. There's this two-way interface, which is something that nobody else has done, not one hotel. It's unique to Airbnb. And surprise, as I said, half the work trips on Airbnb include a Saturday night. That's a work trip that includes Saturday night. Well, nobody's working on Saturday and Sunday. That is because it is all bleisure. So this is the hotel industry. We're very proud of our second place. We have won second place within the entire younger demographic. And unfortunately, I don't even think we have second place. Many younger people I've spoken to and done research with don't even consider hotels. If there's nothing available on Airbnb, they're not going. Why is this happening? They don't know who we are. They really don't know one hotel. If you ask them a hotel, they can't tell you why one brand is different than the other. The only reason they would ever join a loyalty program is to get the free Wi-Fi. Otherwise, they don't care about your loyalty program. We're boring. We're too expensive. And peer pressure says, well, why didn't you book on Airbnb? You should have booked on Airbnb. So, but it's not just millennials. It's not just people who were born in the 1980s, 1990s, 2000. It's everyone. And here is my own appreciation of who has bad news ahead and who has less bad news. And as you can see, the lower impact are those products that either have a super unique location, like you're an airport hotel, or you have something going for you a little bit more. The ones who are in real trouble are people in the middle. Bed and breakfast will cease to exist. They'll all become part of Airbnb because there's no longer a need for a bed and breakfast. And independent properties are going to have serious risk here as well. But if the property you're working on is on the lower impact, don't be smug about it, because, here we go. This guy, anybody remember this from school? Adam Smith, Economics 101, Law of Supply and Demand. Okay, so we all know that price is directly related to supply. Supply goes up, and there you go. Not justified by demand, prices go down. That's life. We cannot change these curves. So let's talk a little bit specifically at Airbnb. They celebrated this year their 10th anniversary 10 years, 300 million room nights. You say, well, over 10 years, that's not so bad. But take a look at the data. Of their 300 million room nights, 108 million were in 2017. Their forecast for 2018 is 250 million room nights. So right now they represent 8.1%. This is in the United States. They represent 8.1%. No, sorry, that's their worldwide, 8.1%. And they're forecast to go up to around 25 to 30% of total room sales in the world within 3 years. And with Airbnb, anything they say in 2-3 years means 1 to 2 years. Look at this growth rate. Has anybody seen a growth rate for their hotel business at this level? I don't think so. And everyone talks about new demand versus cannibalized stays. I'm not so sure this is all new demand. I think there is some pressure on hotels. So I have some research from North America I'm going to share with you. There is no research that has been done on the sharing economy in Europe or Asia that I've found. So we're going to have to rely on this. So this was a study done by Harvard Business School in October of 2017. They looked at the 10 cities in the United States with the largest share of Airbnb, and they concluded that it affected profits by 3.7%. Another study done by a very famous hotel looked at the city of San Francisco. And what they said was a few conclusions. The size of Airbnb supply affects hotel occupancy. I think that makes sense. Every increase in Airbnb quality has a direct adverse impact on hotel business. And Airbnb is not a supplement, but it's a substitute for traditional lodging. That's their conclusions. So this is a picture of a virus. It looks pretty scary, and it's designed to be. Everybody is going to be affected. The challenges are global. These are pictures that I took. Tourist says, "Your luxury trip is my daily misery." That was taken in Barcelona. And this was a article from the New York Times a few weeks ago that says over-tourism, a concept that I'm not familiar with. We say, how can you have over-tourism? That's impossible. But they're saying it's now affecting all of Europe like a disease, and creating problems, and technology created that. Now we also have hotel challenges as well. In Australia, what's happening is there is no rental space because the rental accommodations are being converted to Airbnb, and we'll talk about that in a little while. Airbnb is the game changer. It has changed the world as we know it for hotels. But there's more. They had a party, and they didn't invite the hotels, they invited the hotel's customers. 10th anniversary party, piece of cake, nice. They provided gifts for all of their customers, and I'll take you through some of their gifts. They created something called Airbnb Plus, and this is a list of 100 items that are verified and guaranteed by Airbnb before you check in, almost like a hotel quality control. And these are a list of some of the items. They launched in February 2018 with 2,000 homes in 13 cities across the globe. By December, they'll be in 75,000 homes available in 50 different cities across the globe. The only thing holding them back from their goal of 200,000 by the end of next year is they can't get enough inspectors. I know they asked me to become an inspector. I said no. They have a product called Airbnb Experiences. This is not just renting a room or a house, but actually curating an entire trip for you. And last year they did 1.5 million bookings with an average review score in the high 90s or mid 90s. What do you need travel agents for anymore? Airbnb will do everything for you. They'll arrange every aspect of your trip. So you might be thinking, well, Airbnb just is leisure. So I'm in a city center, I have business. Well, you're thinking this. I'm corporate convention, I don't care about Airbnb. Airbnb for work. Ever hear of this? Well, it's a product for corporate business. And they have created a complete dashboard, which I'll show you, for corporate travel planners. This is what it looks like. So what happens here is that if you're a corporation and you have many people on the road, you can look at every single person, where they're staying. They can authorize and you can approve additional days. You can see where they are. You can correspond with them through an intranet. And they also can share each other as to where you're going and find out that people are in the same city. And of course, it's free. There's no cost. They already have 700,000 businesses. When I first wrote this up in March, they had 150,000 businesses worldwide. Now they have 700,000, and they hope to achieve 1 million businesses by the end of this year. So now they said, wait a second, we have a great idea. Why don't we look at our experiences, combine it with work, and create a meetings product? So in other words, you can rent a house and you can have a meeting in the dining room or the living room, and then you can have the bedrooms upstairs. And they created a new product, which they launched only last month. And they created an online guide of how you can convert your apartment building into an Airbnb, how you can convert your house into an Airbnb, all online. But that wasn't enough. Last week, they launched a TV series on Netflix called Stay Here. And if you don't have Netflix, you can also get it on YouTube. There are 39 episodes. Each one is 48 minutes long, and they go through 3 different locations and accommodation styles, and they show you how to fix the place up for Airbnb. They never mention the word Airbnb, ever. And then they show you the profitability that you can make from doing this renovation. You know, they own the millennial generation. That's gone. We're going to have a fight to get them back. This is their next target. Older people like me. They're going after us. They're also going after corporate business, as I said. And unless we respond, millennials aren't going to be the only ones that are lost. Illegal conversions. This is happening where we get rental space that's in long-term moving to short-term. So as we know, a tight rental market impacts job creation. Someone says, I'd like to accept your job, but I can't find a place to live. What am I going to do? So what are hotels going to do to fight back? That's Mr. Hotelier there. Everyone says, we're going to make it equal. We're going to make it so that people who are running an Airbnb or something play by the same rules as we do for hotels. What does that mean? They're going to pay the same. They're going to pay the taxes. They're going to have the regulation. Licensing. Make them pay local fees, inspections, tax, and maybe even a cap on how often they can share. That requires enforcement. Police have other things to do than enforce this. They will do 1 or 2, but they don't care. This is a worldwide situation. As you see, I have nothing in Italy. They haven't done anything on this, but many countries have started to put some regulations in. Legislation, in my point of view, is a partial measure because of enforcement. And anything that's partial, especially when it comes to whiskey, I'm not in favor of partial. Give me the full measure. And just remember this, if you think that legislation is going to solve this situation, Airbnb is larger than the sum of all the hotel companies in the world. Legislation is difficult to enact. It's not going to happen overnight. Parliaments change, prime ministers change, everything changes. It's not going to happen. And you know what? Hoteliers don't have public support. We're not loved. No one loves us. We haven't generated that. So I don't think any sort of legislation is going to be enough. As a result, the concept of leveling the playing field is going to slow things down, but it's not going to help. We have to win by adapting. And this is a very famous artist, and he says, we have to keep changing to stay the same. And I want you to think about that, because if we stay where we are all dead. We are all dinosaurs. We're going to be turned into oil 2 billion years from now. So accept this. Sharing economy is entrenched, and it is a very serious threat. So what we have to do is start looking at our property and make it the best we can. So how are we going to do that? Talk about our strengths and start looking at what we have that they don't have, and a few things here. We have people. Yes, a lot of staff. Whole list of them. Many people we have. We have food. Everyone eats, we know that. So we can create things with food. Food and beverage has now become one of the more critical factors in the success of a hotel. And we have to remember that. We have property, we have a physical space. So we need to start creating points of difference, finding ways to get excited about our rooms. For example, the concept from Starbucks is what they call a third space. So we have to turn our lobbies into this and make our lobbies living rooms where people feel comfortable to come and stay, and even if they're not even guests of the hotel, just come by and stay with us. This is a hotel I worked on in Brooklyn, where we created an art competition, and we used public space for art. Service. Airbnb does not have service. We do. And the service is going to be the backbone of our success. Starts with housekeeping. It's got to be perfect. There is no excuses. It has to be absolutely flawless. We can guarantee, hopefully, great towel quality, bathrobes, and lots of towels. You go to an Airbnb, you don't know how many towels you're going to get, and it's a very big concern. We also have amenities. Again, we don't know with Airbnb whether they have, but we have great amenities, and we should get more and make sure they're perfect quality. We have fitness centers. Very few Airbnbs have fitness centers, or we should have fitness centers. We could have a concierge, which would provide local information and hopefully save some time. Next is technology, and it starts with your call center. You have to find a way to overcome the resistance and the barriers that may have to people calling you for information. So an operation that runs around the clock makes sense because people are booking from around the world, and the opportunity to have live SMS operations is important. This goes without saying. If you start charging for Wi-Fi or you have bad Wi-Fi, close your hotel. Just close it. It's not worth it. If you can't afford Wi-Fi, you're finished. Wi-Fi is air for anyone under the age of 35. You don't have Wi-Fi, they're leaving. They'll never come back. They'll blackball you, and I don't blame them. And anyone who thinks that they can give Wi-Fi that's free, that will be good enough to download an email, but not good enough to stream a movie, and they'll charge 19 euros extra for the high speed, is fooling themselves. It's just not going to work. I'm sorry, you're going on the wrong tangent. Because of this, casting technology. I have Netflix on my cell phone, and I want to be able to integrate it with the television in the room so I can watch TV at night. I don't care about your channels and all this. They're irrelevant to me. I want to watch my programs because it's about me, the guest, not about you, the hotelier. I don't care about you. I want to watch what I'm watching. Anybody know what this is? Echo Dot. These are coming. Marriott will have one in every single room by next year. A lot of hotels already have them. So start thinking about this, not for this year, but perhaps next year. This is a Echo Dot, and this is how your room will operate. People say, turn on the lights, turn off the lights, open the drapes, close the drapes. Technology can enhance service delivery, can improve training and accountability. Oops. We have to get back to what I call modern basics. Hotel has to be great, period. You have to be great. You can't cut corners anymore and hope to survive. Next is research. And everyone in the hotel business has to do some research. You have to go to Airbnb's website. You really have to look at it and understand it, because there's good learning for your website. You have to go to their YouTube channels. They don't hide anything. This is a brilliant company. Watch their Plus and Beyond videos to learn about their business. Watch their Airbnb for work. Go to it. Dig in. Try to figure out what they're doing, and when you look at it, say, how can I make my business better? Because you ultimately are now the detective looking for ideas. You have to stay at an Airbnb. You have to do the booking experience. If you haven't done it yet, find one, stay in it, go through the process and see what you've learned in terms of the approach. And at the same time, check into your own property to see how that works. See compare the experience. Look at your guest profiles, because the guest profiles are extremely valuable and they'll give you opportunities to enhance your business. Personalization is what it's all about. You have to find ways to personalize your product for each guest. Something's broken, just fix it. Don't wait for a guest to tell you that it's broken 3 times. I've stayed at a hotel. I stayed in the same room 3 years ago. The sink was still chipped in the exact same place. I thought I was in the same room. I saw the chip. Yep, it's the same place. You can't do that. If you ever do this, you've lost a guest for life. Don't ever do this. This is the worst thing you can do. Because what you really want to say is this: we care about you. Have a bottle of water. Cost you a quarter of a euro. Come on, just give them the water. The property has to stand for something. Ask yourself, what does your property mean? What is the one thing you do well, and stick to it? Marketing. A lost case over the past years. People thought that AdWords, Google AdWords, is advertising. It is not advertising. If you think it's advertising, you are fooling yourself. All it is trial generation. It creates no emotional influence whatsoever. It costs a lot of money, and the more you spend, the more your competitors spend, and you're throwing your money down the drain. So just stop that. It's a complete waste of money. And anybody who thinks that something called search engine optimization works, they are being fooled. This is the silliest waste of money you can ever do, because you will never get to be in the top unless you buy advertising. Anyone here's business is not as big as TripAdvisor, not as big as Booking, not as big as Expedia, et cetera, et cetera. They're going to take the whole first page. So stop wasting your time. And you're paying money to a company for SEO, saying, why am I paying you? Ask them the question. Tell me what you're doing. Tell them what it works, because it does not work. I owned a company for 28 years. We used to sell this. Never worked. Made a lot of money. Never worked. Look at your website. Long list of things you can do, but really look at your website. That's your brochure. That's your window to the world. And look at your competitors. Look at great websites. We could do an hour just on this. Video is coming, and start thinking about video on your website, because video converts people to your product. Yes, virtual reality and augmented reality. They're coming, they're important, and they're ways that you can dimensionalize your product so that potential guests will get excited about coming to your property. Let's start looking at it. It's a little early, but if you've bought the new iPhone, you already have augmented reality in the iPhone. There's a free app called Measurement. You put it up to somebody, and you can see what their height is. There's an app you can pay for, and you tell the person to twirl, it'll tell you what their weight is. And it's $9, I think, or $9 US. Guest communication. This is an example from a hotel in a hotel chain. Again, they customize the newsletter based upon the guest, and each one of those blocks are interchangeable based upon the goals of the individual hotels and what the guest has done. The offers change as well. So they have, I think, 37 different types of messages that run through their CRM. Oops. If your website's only in Italian and you want to get the Chinese market, how are you going to do that? If your website's only in Italian and English and you want the German market, how are you going to do that? The answer is don't do that. Get the languages of your target audience. If you don't get your target audience in their language, they're not going to use your site. This was taken at the top of the Plaza Uccesi Hotel in Florence, and they're taking an effort. They just have an empty frame here, and you put your face in there, and you take a picture, and all of a sudden you're communicating about the hotel. So think of how to integrate social media into your communications. Give a treat with every bill. This a little seed pack is attached at the Four Seasons in Philadelphia in their restaurant. They give you a little seed pack. I asked them how much it cost them. They said about 50 cents each, but then the guy said to me, and we added it to the price. Okay, and but it's memorable. Public relations support starts in your local community with events. Get people talking about you. Focus on specific markets. You cannot afford to market to the whole world, so decide which areas you want to market and focus on them specifically. Even micro target to specific cities. Remember that features are logical. You are not interested in features. Everybody has features. You want to be selling your benefits, which have emotional relationship, because we want to create positive sentiments for your brand. The next is acting local. Guests want to live like locals. That's why they're going to Airbnb. Well, they can do that in your hotel too, because you can develop partnerships that create experiences for the guest. And you should be looking at partnerships. The guest should come to you not just for a room, not just for perhaps a room and breakfast, but for help and assistance with their entire stay. Promotions that encourage participation are fun. An example of a promotion at a Four Points hotel where you could order beers and you could do a rating and decide which beer is better. I don't know whether it was successful, but they claim that it ran in 620 hotels, and they claim the beer sales went up by 18%. I don't know what the dollars are, but that seems to be a good return on investment. I'm a coffee addict. Everyone here is coffee crazy. You have to have the best coffee. I've never had a bad coffee in Italy, so I don't think you should worry too much about this. But your property should be a local hotspot. You have a lobby. That's an opportunity for people to get together. Make it a place where people want to convene, and not just for the guests, but for other people as well. Sense of community never hurts, especially in being local. It's called corporate social responsibility. Everyone here has a responsibility to the community, and this is something that we should never forget. Availability. Remember this, be leisure when you do promotions and when you talk to corporate groups. Think about multi-room offers. So somebody's coming with their kids or with their parents. How can you create an offer that sells more than one room at a time? Loyalty programs, if you have one, have to be relevant to the property, not just generic. Because you're not alone. You have a local association, get involved, because it's time for you to be heard. So let me wrap up just quickly. Don't count on legislation to do anything for us. You're going in that, if you think that you're going to be able to pass a law through a local government that prevents Airbnb, good luck. Many communities have tried, and now they are regretting it because there's a huge backlash against it. I want you to be able, when you go out of here to say, if I ask you about your hotel, to say, we have the best, make it up. But you have to be known for one thing and do it right. It's all about innovation. Innovation in everything we do. In our food and beverage, our rooms, how we understand service, how we operate, how we even answer the phone. Innovation is essential. Because the best approach to the sharing economy is think of it as another way to make your property better. And one word I want you to remember, and that's Japanese, and it's called keisen, which is Japanese for continual improvement. What was good today is not going to be good enough tomorrow. I'm sorry. In fact, it's not even good today. It wasn't good enough. You have to keep on getting better. And that's it. I have a newsletter. You can get it. And thank you very much. And I'm open for questions of any sort. Anything? Okay, good. Well, thank you very much for your time. Thank you.